Hi everybody, this is a crash course on Power BI. I'm going to show you in 15 minutes how to build a report from scratch. Now, this is a crash course, which means I'm talking fast. We're going to go through things quickly. If you want more detailed videos and explanations on how things work and why, subscribe to my channel. There will be plenty of videos coming out about all of that. But for now, I'm going to show you the end product, which you can actually find and download linked below for free. And then we're going to start from scratch and show you how to build it. Let's get going. All right, so this is a basic Power BI report that I put together for demonstration purposes only, but you can use it linked below. You can download it and use it as your starting point. I usually use an old report and then modify it to make any new report, and you can do the same. This report itself has 4 different tabs. I have like a summary tab, which is kind of your high level dashboard with a bunch of filters so you can filter things out. This is all sales based, but you can adapt this to anything you want. And then I have regional manager performances where I have different visuals all here to show you different ways of looking at data. That's it. And then I have some map visuals as well in here and some tabular data. You always want some tabular data. I always like to put it at the end of any kind of Power BI report I have. So this is the report. You can get it too. I'm going to show you how right now. Let's go. First things first, open Power BI Desktop. If you don't have Power BI Desktop, you should download it. There's a link below in the description on how to do so. So we open Power BI Desktop on your computer. This is how anybody uses and develops a report in Power BI. You can do some stuff online using the Power BI service to actually build reports, but honestly, it's a little inefficient, and using Power BI Desktop is the best way to go. So step 1, after you open Power BI Desktop, connect to data. Right here, Excel is probably the most common data source that people use to begin with, and that's what we're gonna do as well. So I have an Excel sheet which has 3 tabs located on my desktop. I found it, Power BI is linking to it, and it detects the different sheets that the report has. I'm just gonna check all 3 and hit transform data, which means Power BI is going to essentially establish a link to all 3 of those sheets within that one Excel report and bring it into where we can transform data. This is Power Query that we're looking into now. This is the first step you always do in Power BI. You look at Power Query where you can extract, transform, load for an ETL before. That's what it means. That's what we're doing now. We have an orders tab here from the Excel sheet. We also have a returns tab and a users tab. Okay, so I'm gonna start in the users tab because I'm gonna do some very basic data manipulation with Power Query. First, we'll see that it brought in column 1 and column 2. But if you look closely, it looks like the first row, region manager, probably should be the names of our columns, not a row of data. Power BI has a very easy button, use first row as headers. I'm just gonna click that. Boom, region manager are our columns for the users table. Great, this is what we want, done. Other than that, I'm gonna show you that Power BI stores all the steps that you take. We found a Excel report, we navigated to the sheet, we changed the column type to text, we promoted the headers, we did that together, and then it changed the type again. It detects the data type of the columns when you do a major step like that. It stores all these steps in here, and Power BI is basically, whenever you refresh, it just reruns through all these steps. Extract, transform, load. This is how Power BI does it with Power Query. Returns table, looks like the column names are good to go. Done, not gonna do anything more. Orders table, let's check it. Column names are all good, so it promoted the headers already. It did that on its own. We can see the step here it took because it opened the sheet. The first row wasn't here. I'm going through these applied steps on the right, and we can see it already promoted headers and changed the type for you. Great, it detected everything. Okay, last step I need you to know is that if you download the template below, the Excel sheet's gonna be in there as well. You're going to need to know how to repoint Power BI to find that Excel sheet on your computer instead of it being located directly on my computer. This is a little bit more advanced, but I'm just gonna show you real quick. Hit the source. This is the folder path and the name of the Excel file. All you need to do is change the folder path to wherever it is on your computer. That's it. Do that for all 3 reports, returns. I would hit source, change the folder path. You can even type here. If you create a folder like this and then boom, you'll know because it says, oh, there's no folder there. I can't find this file. Well, great. I go back to where it was. I can find the file. That's all you need to do to repoint the Power BI to the Excel sheet wherever you put it on your computer. Okay, next, close and apply. So we've found our data source, we've made some data transformations, all very basic right now, and we hit close and apply, which means we're loading it into local memory of Power BI. And this is the main Power BI window to build reports. On the right-hand side, this is your main area, it's your data area. You see orders, returns, and users. These are the tables that we loaded in. And with these tables, we're gonna build our visuals. But first, we're gonna look at our data model. So we're gonna go to the left side here, report view, table view, model view. Let's click model view. It's going to show us our data model. We have users that are linked to orders and returns that are linked to orders. So we can use 3 different tables that have relationships in between each other so that Power BI knows how to interact. So that we have a directional relationship where if we select manager in a visual as a category, we can give the sum of sales by manager or by region using this users table. And I'll show you an example as we move on. Okay, so let's create visuals. I click this report view up here. Let's start. I like KPIs. So I always start with the visuals here, and I'm going to start with the card visual. We're going to create a card which is like a 1 value visual. Create it, you can resize it, go to your data on the right and select which value you want to add to it. I want to add sales. So I'm going to click sales and drag it into this fields area here on the right. It's going to show 1.92 million in sales. So it's auto summing up all the sales in our data right now, which is great. Let's do a little bit of formatting here. So click this top formatting icon here on top right and call out value. Open this up. Let's say display units, none, because I want to see all. Decimal place is 0. Now we can see sum of sales, 1.9 million, but spelled out. I like that better. Also, let's add a border to this just for a good final product. So background white, visual border. Let's turn that on. Let's do a little gray, some rounded corners, and then we have a little border here. That's not bad. It's kind of nice. So that's our first visual. Done. You're an expert at Power BI now. Let's create a lot more though. So before we do that, let's change the background of our report just to make it look a little nicer. So I just click anywhere in the background outside the visual, click this format, go to canvas background, let's change the color. I can do very light gray and change the transparency, let's say to 75%. Doesn't really matter. But see, now we have a gray background with a nice visual that stands out. So we have visual. Let's create a little header bar actually. I like that on each part of the page. So I'm going to go to insert and I'm just going to insert a text box up here. So this isn't a visual that's using like the data. This is like another little widget you can add to the report. So resize it. I'm going to call this page sales summary and I'm going to make that the right, increase it in size. That's not so bad. Resize this bar. Let's maybe change the font to white. We're going to go to properties, effects. Let's change the background to, let's do a blue. Why not? Heck, sales summary. So now this is looking more like a report dashboard, right? So we sales summary and we have a visual, a card. Let's create a few more cards. My favorite way of creating new visuals on a page, copy and paste. Control C, Control V. So we have that. And then you can just replace the data with other data. So instead of using sales, I'm just going to go to profit, which is this column here on the right. I'm going to click and drag that, just drag it right over it. Power BI will replace it, keep the formatting. Great. Copy and paste. Let's change this to units sold, which is we can find under quantity ordered. Click and drag that, quantity ordered. And I don't like where it says sum of quantity ordered new. That doesn't make sense to the end user. Maybe to us as a database, but not the end user. So on the fields area right here, right click this and hit rename for this visual. And you can say whatever you want. I'm going to call this units sold. Great. You can do the same thing for the other cards if you wanted to. But we're going to move on. So I'm going to copy and paste this, make it a little bigger because I'm going to make a donut chart. Now this is an easy way of making a donut chart. You can either click out of everything, click this donut chart area on the right, and create a new one, or I copied and pasted one of these cards and you can change the visual type on anything. So I'm going to change this to a donut chart. Great. But I don't want units sold in the values. I want sales. So I'm just going to drag it in and delete units sold. Great. And I want to look at it by a category. Let's say customer name. Sure. Let's look at the customer. Way too many people. Nah, let's do region. But let's do region from the other table. We can go to users and grab region from here. And now Power BI knows how to relate those two tables. Even though they're separate, we have a relationship, so it knows. Okay, I'm going to format this donut real quick. I don't like the legend. I want to update the data labels a little bit better. So again, go to formatting, blow away the legend, detail labels. My favorite is category, % of total. Call it good. Copy paste. Let's add another one. Let's say instead of sales, let's do profit. I just deleted unchecked sales, check profit. Now it's sum of profit by region. Great. Yeah, let's just stick with that. Sum of profit by region. So we can see that actually South has no profit. Why is that? Maybe they have as many costs in the South as sales. So this is an interesting finding already. Okay, anyways, let's create a new visual type for demonstration purposes. Let's create a bar chart. Again, copy paste, select this donut. Let's change it to a bar chart. But I don't want profit by region. Oh, we can see now that there's actually negative profit for the South. So maybe that's a better visual for profit. Let's delete the profit one. Aha, by region, so we can actually see the negative number. Okay, Control C, Control V, create a new widget, and we're gonna do products. Let's do y-axis, take out region, and just do product name. And instead of profit, let's go back to sales. So now we have products by sales. This is way too many products. Like you can scroll down, you can see all the products in the total sales. Way too many. So let's filter it. Go to this filters pane, Very powerful part of Power BI. We're going to use it in one way. I'm going to go product name. Instead of basic filter, I'm just going to do top N, where I can say, I want to filter this top 10 products by what value? By sales. So I'm going to click and drag sales into here, apply. Now it's only going to show top 10 products by sales. Great, I love that. This y-axis is a little bunch, so let's fix that. Go to format, go to y-axis, maximum width right here, just increase that. And that will kind of increase the size. These product names are obnoxiously long, so we can't really do much more than that, but this is a good use case. Next, let's add data labels. Just scroll down on this format area. You can see data labels, turn them on. So you can see the exact amount of sales per product. So that's kind of nice. And last, let's create a time phase chart. Control C, Control V. That's my favorite way of creating new visuals. It retains the formatting. It retains some of the fields in there, and you can quickly switch between visual types by just clicking the visual type. So let's do a line chart. I don't want to see products, sales by product in a line. So let's delete the filter, which we imposed. So be careful about that. And delete product name in the x-axis. Great. I want sum of sales. I want to do it over time. So let's look at order date, drag that into the x-axis. And you can see in this x-axis, it automatically created a hierarchy for dates, which is great. If you don't like it, click order date. If you do like it, which I do, leave it there. You can hit these up and down arrows here in this visual, where you can hit up to look at it by month. That's a lot cooler, right? Okay, so we have sum of sales by month, January through June. Small data set, but it's there. Let's get rid of these data labels. No, we'll keep the data labels. But let's add profit to this. We can add multiple measures to one chart. So we can see sales and profit. We can even add unit sales on here, but that might not make the most sense. And also profit, let's actually add this to a secondary axis. So we can see profit on the right, sales on the left, and just look at the overall trends of how things have trended, where our sales kind of petered out, but our profits have increased in these last couple months. So that's good to know. Boom, you've made a basic dashboard. We're done, but for now, why don't we just make one more page just to show you how to do it. We're gonna call this summary. I'm gonna make one more page. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate, copy, paste. That's my big theme. Duplicate this page. Let's delete all the visuals. Maybe make this a little bit bigger. Let's make it a table. Now we have a table of data. I just hit this table visual with order date, sum of sales, sum of profit. You can add in things like customer name, product name, just add a bunch of stuff in here. And you have more of like the raw data view for somebody to investigate. And I'm gonna change this text box and say order details, let's say. So now we have, and then rename this tab and call it order details. You can call it whatever you want. And now we have a true multi-page report. Okay, but one last thing before we call it complete, let's add some filters in here for users to use. They have this filters pane. It's not very user-friendly. I would just hide it, close it, don't let end users use it, and add what we call slicers. We want to slice this data. We want to give them the option to look at it by, let's say, manager. So I'm going to click manager. It's going to create a visual. I want to make this a slicer visual, this little slicer pane right here. Click that. Oh, great. Now they can select the type of manager they want. But I'm going to change this visual type to be a dropdown because I like this a little bit better. So I'm going to go to Format, Slicer Settings, Dropdown. Now we have a filter looking thing here. We can make this a little bit better. Let's make this a little bit bigger. This. Oh, now that's looking more like a report, right? I'm going to lower these a little bit to create a little room. We're creating room for these slicers. Okay, done. Now we have manager. So now they can select a manager and filter it that way. Control C, Control V. Let's add one more just for fun. And let's say order priority. What the heck? So delete manager, order priority. So now they can look at critical or medium. You can add as many filters as you want. Control click and use more. So this is how you add filters. They're called slicers in Power BI. They are probably the most important component that you can add other than the visuals themselves. So I highly encourage you to add them. And with that, we are done. Save it as test report, publish it. This is how you share it with people. Power BI Desktop you use to create it, you share it online. Hit publish, go to My Workspace. My Workspace will be there for everybody. All these others are my personal ones. So My Workspace, hit select. Everybody will have access to quote unquote My Workspace. I've already done this before, so I just hit replace, publish it. We're gonna click the link and follow it there. Opens up on my other monitor. Let's bring it in. There we go. We have an online summary, order details. They can use the slicers, and this is how you can share it with other people. With that, you built your first report and we're done. It only took 15 minutes to build your first Power BI report. Don't forget, link below is the final version of this that you can download, and I highly encourage you to use it as a starting point for any report you have. It is a little bit better formatted, and it has a few more tabs as like sample visualizations that you can use to, again, copy and paste to any report that you want. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit subscribe to have more detailed videos or more crash course videos like this. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.